You're watching Obama in Springfield. The President Returns, a News Channel 20 special report.
Welcome back to News Channel 20. John Rieger, Adam Rife here on the desk for this shift. We are following President Obama as he continues his trip in Springfield. We expect him to head to the airport momentarily. Right now, however, we weren't allowed cameras inside the Hoagland Center earlier this afternoon when he made his address there to supporters, but we are getting the pool feed. We're going to dip into President Obama now. Again, this is not live. This is earlier today.
One of the earliest people to endorse you, supported you the whole way. So here, why don't you do this? You take my speech, but first I got to cross out Lithuanian, and we'll put Kenyan in there, and go ahead and deliver it, and I'll do whatever. I'll make something up. And according to Dick Durbin, that's exactly how I ended up being so successful at the Democratic Convention, stealing his speech. Now, there's a little revisionist history there, but what is absolutely true is that I would not be a United States Senator, and I certainly would not be president had it not been for the support of Dick Durbin. That is the truth. And I like Loretta Durbin even more than I like Dick Durbin. But what I said about Dick is actually true for a lot of people in this room. You know, when I was speaking over at the Capitol, I mentioned there was an article just recently, I think in the last couple of days, they had looked at all the data, all the demographics of every state in the nation to see what was the most representative state. What is the state that has the same mixture of people and regions and occupations and educational levels. And it turns out that the most representative state of the entire country is right here in Illinois. If we've got an EMT, I think it looks like somebody dropped down. It's okay, they'll be all right. They were just standing too long. Just give them a little bit of air. I've been through this before. They'll be okay. They probably just, you gotta drink a little juice or something before you're standing too long. EMT, are we back there? Yeah. Plus, there's somebody back there who's grumpy because they did not get their nap. All right. I love you too. We okay? All right. Why don't you get a chair at least? There you go, sweetheart. All right. She's good. Walking out on her own 2 feet. So the reason this is important, the fact that Illinois is so representative, is that, as I was explaining, when I first came down here as a state senator, I was in the minority. I didn't have a chance to talk to a lot, or get a lot of stuff done because Pate Phillip was the president of the Senate. He and I didn't share a lot of views in common. But it gave me a chance to get to know people. And I would go to fish fries and union halls, and I'd travel around the state and visit people in their districts. And you know, you'd talk to hog farmers, and you'd talk to folks in inner cities, and you'd talk to suburban business people, and you got a sense of what not only Illinois was all about, but what America was all about. And oh, definitely, no, we're not doing that. Not only because of the Constitution, but because, more importantly, Michelle would kill me. But what it did was it confirmed what I had already suspected, which is there are a lot of difference in this country. And people come from different places. They're of different faiths. They've got different beliefs about certain issues. But, you know, generally, folks are the same. People have same hopes, same dreams, same aspirations for their kids, same worries, trying to figure out how to pay the bills, trying to figure out are their kids going to do as well as they did. And it was that common thread that allowed me then, when I finally got in the majority, to get some bills passed. And it was also during that time where I also got a chance to make sure, yeah, you're tired, I know. I don't know, Mom, she or he are just tired. Oh, there you are up there, I hear you. You need to go to bed. I feel like that sometimes, but I can't say that to my staff. They wouldn't listen to me anyway. But it's that sense that we all had something in common that actually led me to be able to make that speech in 2004. It was that sense that led me to announce for President of the United States. It was that sense that we have some common bonds that has motivated me over the last 9 years since I announced. And that faith in the common values of the American people have been affirmed every single day. I mean, yes, politics in Washington can get ugly. And I talked a lot today at the Capitol about the need to change the politics, and it's not just because, it's not just a matter of changing elected officials. The system itself, the way our media is splintered up, so some folks are watching Fox News and some folks are reading the Huffington Post. The fact of gerrymandering, the fact that a lot of people don't participate. There are a lot of things that pull us apart. But despite all that, every day I meet somebody who reminds me about why I'm so proud to do what I'm doing, why I'm so glad I went into public service. And thank you. But here's the main point that I wanted to make, and I'm not going to give a long speech because I just gave one. And I want to shake some hands. Yeah, although no selfies, I want to tell you ahead of time. Now, this is one thing that changed, by the way. If we had had smartphones when I ran for president, I'm not sure I would have run. Because folks just have their phones. They won't shake my hand anymore. They're just like, it's like, hey, I'm here, live in front of you. So we're not taking selfies, but I want to shake as many hands as possible. But the point is that every day I've been reminded of the goodness of the American people. And that all started with so many of you. As I look around the room, I see people I worked with in the state legislature. I see union leaders who supported me early on when I didn't have much of a shot. I see some farmers who were wondering, what the heck is this kid from Chicago doing down here? He got lost, he took a wrong turn somewhere. But they took me in and fed me and had me shuck some corn. I see people who worked on our campaigns. I see people who we worked on together to get kids health care that didn't have it, or early childhood education that needed it, or helped send some kid to college. All of you helped to shape me and allowed me to do what I did. And some of you now have kids of your own. Not as many of you have gray hair as I would have expected, given how much I have. And this is just my opportunity to say thank you. I appreciate what you guys have done. And I could not have done what I did without.
You're looking live at the motorcade of the President Obama, heading to the airport. You were watching his speech from a few moments ago at the Hoagland Center, but this is live coverage of the motorcade.
President Obama, one of several cars here, several dozen we see. I expect it to be about fifth here in the line as we have cars peeling off. Just about this one about to take the turn right there as we zoom in. You see the American flag there on the corner. Two armored limousines. The president is in the first, we believe, as they pull up. And again, if you were with us on our coverage at 11 or 11:30 when the president arrived, Air Force One will be right on the tarmac as we widen out to the shot. And there you see that familiar nose and paint color scheme. So the president will circle around the rear of the airplane and pull up right in front of the stairs. We hope to have a nice wave from the president as he ascends the stairs back into Air Force One. John, we've heard quite a bit from the president today, a lot of things that struck both of us, I think.
Adam, I want to point out here too that the president has kept a pretty tight schedule and right on schedule, even things that we didn't know about, like having lunch there at the feed house, is that he actually touched down a couple of minutes. It was about 11:18. It was a couple of minutes ahead of schedule. So this whole party has stayed right on schedule. But yeah, as I was watching the president, Adam, both from the Capitol and then at the Hoagland Center, this is not only a president at the end of his presidency where he doesn't have to run again, he seems so comfortable, but it seemed like a man who was home and felt very relaxed to be funny whenever he wanted to, even though he was invoking words of Lincoln and talking about some various serious things, he seemed a man at ease.
Especially in that Hoagland Center speech that we just saw. I commented it was more like a stand-up routine. It's
Exactly.
calling old friends in the audience, mentioned a child crying up there. Someone shouted out 4 more years. He said, no way. The Constitution, first of all, but Michelle would kill me, he said. So certainly at ease at his home state. Let's take a look here as the president will emerge briefly out of the armored limo here. And there is President Obama as he starts to ascend the stairs.
Jogging up lightly. He came down them at 11:30 or something today, 11:25. He's probably going to turn around and give us a final wave.
President Barack Obama, his second trip to Springfield as a sitting president. As he heads back onto Air Force One. We do have crews out there at the airport. We'll go to them in just a moment. Now, it will take quite a bit of time for the president to take off as Air Force One needs to be secured. There are quite a few people, as you saw firsthand, John. Many, many cars in that motorcade, some of which probably didn't make the entire trip to all different locations, but we saw that rear door of the airplane also open. That's where some of the press and security staff enter. The president gets the nice photo shot up there in front, but as you see, he won't be taking off for several minutes here. But you mentioned it, he's way ahead of schedule, which has been fantastic for planning purposes.
Yeah, because 5:20 is when takeoff was originally scheduled, but they still have got to get these other people on, and who knows what else they have to do. But I counted, kind of roughly counted the number of cars in the entourage coming back, and it was roughly the same, 25 or 30, I thought, that departed from the airport to downtown, and about the same amount coming back. Of course, this is old hat for the security departments of the federal security departments.
Let's head out to the airport right now. News Channel 20's Eric Feldman is there as he has been all day. Eric, tell us a little bit about the scene here. We know that this is closed to the public as well, but what has it been like since the president arrived moments ago?
Yeah, that's right, Adam. It has been closed to the public, but the airport itself is open operating as normal, but here on the tarmac it's only open to pre-credentialed press. And as you saw just a few moments ago, this motorcade of about 20 cars coming in, and a lot of people coming in through the back of the plane of Air Force One, a lot of the press, but President Obama entering the front, giving that wave right before he entered the plane one last time. We've seen a lot of security around here on the tarmac. Saw a bomb-sniffing dog, a lot of Secret Service and other just security measures being taken in order to make sure that the tarmac is completely safe and that only people who've been pre-credentialed are here on the tarmac, even need to be escorted to go to the bathroom or to do anything, to go inside, even to go to our live truck. We had to be escorted just to make sure everything is in order and safe. And right now you're seeing the final members going onto Air Force One on the back end of it, and the crews will be going on shortly. It's starting to get a little louder here. I don't know if you can hear the sounds of the engine. It's quite loud. It's pretty amazing to hear, and it shows really just how big Air Force One it's, as we've talked about all day, just a massive aircraft. It can go more than 600 miles an hour, and even on 9/11, Air Force One was going faster than the fighter jets that were escorting it, carrying then President George W. Bush. So the president is now on his way to California, where he will be staying overnight. That's where Air Force One is headed now. The motorcade is now leaving the airport, and the steps are being closed up. Air Force One looks like it'll be leaving momentarily. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Eric, stay with us here. We may check back with you in a moment, but Eric talks about the noise here as they just fired up those jet engines. The airport was under normal operation all day long, save for this departure and for the arrival. So there have been people in the terminal here, but again, on the tarmac is what's been closed to the public. The president, when he made his first trip as president, met with the well-wishers there. It was a different day. It was a little bit warmer than we expected today. But again, for security purposes, this was closed to the public.
And we talked about the president being humorous and relaxed in his speeches today. He's not spending the night in Springfield or in Illinois. He's heading to San Jose, California. That's where he's going to land. He's got some fundraising events to do in California. And then tomorrow, that's tomorrow, and then tomorrow in the afternoon scheduled to do the Ellen DeGeneres show.
That's right.
So having his own, having a lot of fun, mixing business with fun.
We have had to balance that line, toe that line of this is not the president's farewell tour yet, of course. He's in office for 11 more months, but it certainly has that tone of him thinking forward about his legacy, what he wants to leave. And we've had several of our analysts talk about, does he want to be a George W. Bush, who at the time is content to be retired, out of the spotlight? Does he want to be Jimmy Carter, who has been politically active since the day he left office in the 1980s?
We see the plane beginning to taxi on its way out, so way ahead of schedule. 4:42 right now, originally scheduled to depart at 5:20. So, boy, they make things move when you're the president.
Absolutely. We weren't sure what to expect here, as this was our first presidential visit in quite a while, but certainly held to the itinerary. Let's make sure here, gang, in the booth here, let's keep this audio up as we'd like to listen in as the president takes off. But you can see those 4 jet engines on a giant Boeing airplane. The president will taxi for a few moments off to the right and circle and then take off heading west. You can hear those voices, obviously, on the risers. That is the media only, as again we reiterate that the public is closed. Go ahead, Eric Feldman, live at the airport. Go ahead, Eric.
So that was pretty incredible. I don't know if you could tell. You can see some of the snow just blowing away with Air Force One. And when the plane faced away from us, completely away from us, there was a huge gust of wind, and there were papers that I had that have flown everywhere. Just, there were gloves, everything was flying away. And that really just shows how powerful Air Force One is, and just really how spectacular it is.
See, obviously a different vantage point, John, than any other flight you typically take, as it's rare that people would be at this level for any commercial flight, usually in the terminal or in the airplane, obviously. But you know, we saw that when the airplane turned away from the press pool, it certainly got a big gust of wind there.
From the jet engines, yeah. And when it landed today, I noticed it was engulfed in that snow that those engines kicked up in front of and around the entire plane. So here our cameraman is jockeying for position as we see the Air Force One about ready to take off, and a piece of history, kind of final chapter for today's historical visit by the President of the United States.
It appears by all accounts the President certainly enjoyed his visit to Springfield, did a nice job on both speeches, played the crowd well, and enjoyed lunch. And
what did he have for lunch again?
He had a turkey sandwich. Brett Baldeck on Facebook has a recreation. He had the same order and took a picture for those foodies wanting to order what the President had at the feed store. But again, the President doesn't have any more trips to Springfield planned for the moment. Again, this all came together in just a matter of weeks. That's not to say he won't visit once again, but this did certainly have the air of the president staking out his legacy as we move forward, and we'll have to wait and see if, you know, God forbid the budget impasse goes longer. Maybe he comes in again and does this again, but for the time being, that's not what we expect.
You know what, we don't know what the future holds in transportation, but the first president who came here, who rode in a car, was Theodore Roosevelt.
Okay.
And then the first president that got on a train was Woodrow Wilson. So he's keeping the historical things going here. Of course, they've been riding in planes now for a long time. We don't know what the future will hold. But met a lot of people near the Capitol who were very excited just to get near. They knew they weren't going to be able to see the president necessarily, but just to be around the area where he arrived was such a momentous occasion for people of Springfield that some skipped school, some skipped work to get down and just be close to the action.
You spoke with young Daniel, a student here at Springfield. He had a Springfield school sweatshirt on. He said he just wanted to see the president. He said he held him in such high esteem, first African-American president. He certainly knew his history, and he talked about how many years it had been since Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, what that meant to him. So that was neat to see. Again, people braving the cold, taking time off from work just to step out and just to see a piece of history. Brett Baldeck was in earlier. He said the airport before the president's arrival, people showing up with lawn chairs. They were instructed not to, but couldn't help themselves coming just to get a glimpse of this airplane, perhaps the most iconic in the world right now.
Yeah, all eyes on it. This feed going out to lots of news associations around the country, around the world, watching the president in the beautiful baby blue and dark blue. I don't remember how long they've had these particular colors, this particular design.
Jackie Kennedy,
you were talking about that. She designed the colors too.
1960s.
I thought that the colors had changed though a little.
It used to be the chrome of a military plane. It looks like the aircraft is now straightened out. Let's listen in here as President Barack Obama takes off, headed for California after his most recent visit to the capital city. Let's listen.
Taking off.
And there we are in a plume of snow.
Yeah, kicking up that snow behind as we see President Obama in his plane kind of bidding us a farewell as the wings head upward.
Wheels up here on Air Force One as President Obama departs Springfield. 4:47 the time, just about 5.5 hours from when he landed, and it was a very early, a very quick, efficient trip, I would say. Efficient trip as he made several stops, including, as you mentioned, those unplanned ones that we weren't ready for.
A half hour early. He was originally planned to depart at 5:20, so he's about 32 minutes early on his plans. Probably just ran out of things on the list to do. He spoke as long as he wanted to speak at the Hoagland Center, and of course he had a planned speech at the State House. So obviously moving things along.
We'll continue our team coverage here as we watch Air Force One take off into the sky headed west. Now, we do have team coverage throughout the capital city, and we do expect to hear now, as the word spreads that the president has embarked on his trip to California, we expect a lot of those road closures to relax. We don't know for sure. I don't want to tell you. You can go head out and park, but we will be monitoring all those security situations as they change over the next several months.
When I was at the Capitol today, when he left, all the security stayed in place. The roads were blocked off, plenty of police cars, security cars there. But then all of a sudden they all got the word after he'd gotten to the Hoagland Center a while, boom, they were rushing out to get out of there and move on to the next location, and things cleared out and there was just no security around there whatsoever. So things moved quickly, and we'll be following that for you. Now, this president, he's now visited all 50 states like Nixon, Bush, and Clinton had. He's also been to 52 countries, 52 foreign countries. So he's been busy on the road. He made 43 foreign trips. So even though he's visited all 50 states, he made Illinois kind of only with a few months, 11 months left in his administration.
Yeah, we talked about the significance with Ian Hunt. He's a presidential historian from the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library Foundation. Talked about the earlier presidential visits. President Obama now the fourth to address a sitting Illinois General Assembly. And the reason they come to this state is it's not always a pep rally. It's usually to talk about specific policies, to talk about things they want to get done. And President Obama today certainly eased into that, as there were some general topics here, but he was very specific about gerrymandering. He wanted to get money out of politics, reduce the influence, specific things, and he started it in Illinois, not only because of Abraham Lincoln, not only because it's his home, but because it's an important state to the country.
Making it easier to vote as well among those things, campaign finance, redrawing the congressional districts, and making it easier to vote. You know, he also invoked Lincoln, the words of Lincoln when he said, a house divided cannot stand. But what rocked me a little bit was that he brought up some things from the past, presidents from the past, But he wound that all up and talked about some of the problems they faced in their administrations, being called names, being called traitors, being called all kinds of things, including Lincoln and some other important presidents. And he was saying politics is not worse. The problems are not hopeless, because we've had difficult times in the past, so we shouldn't be. He was kind of, the dawn is still ahead of us. The day is not dark, the day is not over. We've had periods and before when democracy has been stuck, and somehow we have pulled out of it. So the overall message has been very bright and saying, hey, hang together, because in our state, especially as you've been covering day to day, more than 220 days now, we talk about this every day here, how the parties are keeping each other from making progress.
Unfortunately, the new norm in the state of Illinois, what the president said was the difference, yes, this divisive political landscape is not new. What's different now is the nature of the politicization, the nature of the polarization, and why that's different. And that's when he started to get into some of the failures, I think, that he talked about. He talked about his early career, some of the things that didn't go his way, and I think that was a way of saying, we're all the same, we've all been there, we've all had things that didn't work out. He talked about being ribbed. Are you Irish? Is Obama an Irish name? A lot of self-deprecating humor to put him, I think, at the same level as some senators and representatives who are frustrated with the system. He's been there, he said.
Well, and he also talked, you mentioned before about you get around and play poker with your political adversaries, and now the rancor has gotten so strong that a person is trying to destroy America if they don't agree with your beliefs, and it's harder to say that person is destroying America if he's going to ask to hit me with another card at the poker table or put in another quarter or whatever they play for. So and he said in his State of the Union speech that one of his biggest regrets was that he was not able to ameliorate or ease the rancor that goes on in national politics. And of course, he talked about Illinois being a microcosm of the overall country for race and ethnicity and the economy, education. Well, the rancor is also
a factor as well.
It's basically a microcosm of that too, of what's happening on the national scene.
He talked about, President Obama did in his address, how proud he is to be a citizen of the United States. What I heard a lot of from President Obama was a lot of what a citizen would say. Why can't we work together? We all care about our children. We all care about our economy, our schools, our businesses. And yet when the cameras roll and when we get onto this floor or any other floor of a legislative body, all of a sudden it's about the polls, it's about reaction, and we're afraid to stick up for ideals rather than toe the party line.
That's right.
And I heard Citizen Obama say a lot of the things that I think Facebook commenters, viewers, readers of the newspaper, people are frustrated. And we heard the president say it with a little more tact than I think the rest of us would like.
Right. All right, well, we're going to be covering some of that Facebook activity and tweets and everything else. We've got a lot more coverage for you. 4:48, President Barack Obama left the state capital of Illinois, where it all started for him. We'll be back with more after this.